Hey, young people. Well, Texas voting, we got a lot of propositions coming up, and I know some people are early voting, and I should have done this earlier, and I apologize because I had a few people ask me about this. So, you can tell by how people are voting on whether or not I'm for it. I mean, look, all these liberal left papers, guess what? You see all the check boxes? All news media, liberal left, they're voting yes for everything except for. I wonder what for could be. Well, if all the liberals are voting no on for, I don't even have to know what it is. I'm voting yes. But it's probably the most important. Prop 4 blocks Texas government from enacting a state income tax, like all the other liberal cities have done, because they've run the bank dry, they've overspent, they've open bordered, sanctuary cities, they want to flood the country and pay everything's free and everything's wonderful and we can just take care of everybody except for the poor working pesky tax-paying citizen who has to pay all the taxes. So 4 is, if you vote no for that, or if you're against 4, that means you want the government to be able to enact a tax. So because all the liberal left papers are voting yes, or voting no, they don't want to block it, I'm voting yes. But I've got my list down. But it just amazes me. All these papers come out here and people will vote this, especially liberals. They'll read the news, they'll read the paper and go, oh, well, the paper's for it, I'll vote for it. Oh, the paper's against it, I'll vote no, I'll be against it too. Well, that's because you're an idiot. But I digress. Let me get to my picks on these measures. And what is it? I think that, let me get to my picks. So I'm going to tell you my picks and why I voted why I'm going to vote. And this is a suggestion. I'm not telling you got to vote the way. Somebody be like, he's trying to intimidate me. Oh, shut up, you big crybaby. You ain't got to watch it. You hit play. All right. So here's my picks. Prop 1. This permits judges to have more than one office at a time. And they want to, almost all these props are constitutional amendments. And this to me gives government more power. And they're trying to sell it by saying, well, if a small community can't afford to have a judge that works in another small community could be a judge in both places, and he would have 2 different jurisdictions. No, because first of all, I have a problem with who's voting for the judge, and if you're in 2 different districts, how is that voter representation? If I don't get to vote for you and you get to come over and be a judge, I don't like that. This, to me, gives government more power. I am against it. You're either for or against it, so I vote no, against. Prop 2 is a bond. Anytime I see bond, 99.9% of the time, I'm like, no. Bonds are a way of government getting money on a short end, saying they're going to use it for something, and then they never use it for what it's designed. But they slip in a tax, and taxes never go away. And I know the people are going to say, well, bond isn't a tax because once it's paid for, then it goes away. I don't want to hear it. Bonds is another form of tax. I almost always vote no. This bond says we're going to give the water board $200 million, basically a slush fund, to allow them to fix things with the water. I don't buy it. We pay enough damn taxes. Figure it out. You don't need another bond. In my opinion, I'm no and I am against. And I'm going to copy this and put it in the description. So if you want to just highlight it and copy it and text it to yourself so you have it on voting day, I'll put that in the description. So all this will be in the description. Prop 3 is a temporary exemption of taxes for appraised damage if your property was damaged by natural disaster. To me, this takes away power from the government, because government will be like, we don't care if your house got taken out by a tornado. We appraised it at $400,000. We're going to tax you at $400,000. Even though you're homeless, even though your family died in when you lost your home, doesn't matter. We're the government. It's appraised value. That's what you owe. This says, no. This says if your damage is property, your taxes, you can get an exemption if your house is torn down to where they can't make you pay your appraised value before it was torn down. So I'm for this. Again, takes power away from government. Almost all my decisions is less government power is always good. More government power and money, always bad. Prop 4, blocking politicians from making a Texas income tax. Yes, prohibit state income tax. Yes, you got to be for. to remember this, for Prop 4. You definitely want to vote. The way they worded it, they're trying to trick people, and they've done this in other states. They word it to where you think you're voting for to block it when you're actually voting to allow them to do it. So this is a yes for Prop 4. That's probably the most important one. And let's see, we're going to go down here too. Prop 5 is a sporting goods used. Sporting goods are already taxed. And when they sold the tax to the pesky taxpayers, they said, oh, this money will go to your parks, and all money, all taxes from sporting goods will go to our parks and keep Texas great. Well, guess what they did? What freaking politicians always do. They use the money for everything but the parks. This proposition says, you know what? Any taxes you collect from sporting goods where you told us you were going to use it for parks, now you have to use it for parks. So it takes away a slush fund from the government so they can't use it for anything else. There you go. I'm voting for Prop 5. Prop 6. This is some cancer prevention, and nobody wants to vote against cancer prevention. How could you vote? Anything for cancer is good. Nothing is good when you give government power. They're saying they want to raise $3 billion for cancer prevention research. Look, this is government money getting into private things. If a cancer prevention agency wants to raise money, they do it like everyone else. They get out there and they sell it. They can ask the government for money, and the government can take taxes from one of their other funds that they're stealing from somewhere else and give it to them. But to allow another $3 billion in taxes to give government more slush money that they probably won't even use for damn cancer anyway. But Rick, how can you vote against cancer? Well, watch this. When I vote, I'm voting against it. I'm no on Prop 6. Prop 7. This is good if you think our education system is good. This is basically says we need to keep funding our education, Texas education. Our education system is a failure. The feds are involved. They get federal money. We have to dumb down the classrooms for the dumbest people, so we open borders. They don't have any prior education. They can't speak English. They come in, and then it totally dumbs down the school, and now our kids get crap education. I'm not for giving a failed education system more money. So I'm against Prop 7. Prop 8. Flood fund infrastructure. This is the same thing, man. They want more money, and then they don't use it for floods. We already had 1,000 flood things. Every time I turn around, there's a new tax, there's a new dollar this, there's a new added on the your registration fee. They're always trying. No, this gives government more power and more money. I'm against it. I'm pretty easy. You can figure out where I'm going to vote. Exempt precious metals from taxation. This is less taxes. This is good. Government don't need to be taxing precious metals. They want to, this stops them from saying, hey, you know what, if you buy silver and gold, we're going to tax it. Right now, all that is tax exempt. I'm good with that. So I am for Prop 9. Less government, less taxes. Pretty simple. Prop 10. This allows the transfer of a law enforcement animal to a qualified caretaker. Probably we're talking about dogs, but because they said animal, I'm thinking it probably applies to horses too. So if a government agency has an animal, they can transfer it instead of not transferring. I don't know what the hell they do with them. They don't transfer them now. But to me, this makes sense. I'm okay for taking care of the animals. Again, this gets it out of government. If people vote no on this, government will probably say, oh, well, we have to kill the dog. We can't transfer it. Or we have to spend money. Or we need to raise taxes to take care of the animal. I don't know how government will finagle more taxes and more money, but they will. So I'm okay for Prop 10. So pretty easy. That's my list. I will put it in the description, and you can vote how you want. It's a free country. I'm telling you how I'm voting and why I'm voting the way I am. All right? We'll end that there.